So how can either the foster family or the eventual adopter, let's say you do know that this dog has some guarding issues, what are ways that you can help to kind of resolve that issue?
Yeah. So the first protocol, and of course you want to be very safe when you're administering any kind of behavior modification plan, but the first protocol is kind of like trying to reduce or flip around that limited resource mentality that the dog has going on. You know how harmful that could be in humans, so it's also the same kind of thing for dogs as well. And just flood the economy. So what that means is trying to get the dog on a free feeding plan. There's going to be 3 or 4 food bowls around. They're always full. You know, top them off as much as possible. Of course, you know, you want to be careful if the dog is a serious resource guarder, again, to shift the dog into another area while you're in close proximity to those food bowls and filling them up, just
for safety reasons.
For safety reasons. But, you know, over time, what that is going to teach the dog is that these resources are not limited.
Yeah, there's plenty.
There's plenty. You may see a really big increase in the dog's consumption at first, but typically that's not going to last longer than just a few days. So, you know, folks shouldn't be alarmed if, like, the dog, like, does eat an insane amount of food the first couple of times. I would stick with it and try to give it, you know, 2 weeks unless it really seems like it's going to be dangerous. Of course, we don't want to step on the medical toes, but is really, you know, trying to change the dog's perception of these resources. Also, just flooding the economy with
could you also,
toys and
just wondering, could you also maybe not fill the bowls completely and just have like small portions throughout all the bowls, just to reduce a little bit of the caloric intake, if ever that's an issue?
I mean,
or does it really matter?
Yeah, the main idea is just to teach them that there's always food available.
Okay.
And so however you want to set that up is really up to, like, you know, the foster, the owner, and the environment. But the main idea is just to make sure that there's, like, always food available.
And with toys, same thing.
Yes.
Make sure that there's, like, go nuts.
Yes.
Go nuts at the toy store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, like, a ton of every type of toy.
Yeah.
And, you know, lots of...
Too many to guard, basically.
Too many to guard.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's a very positive strategy, because I think as a person bringing home a new dog, most people, all they want to do is buy things for that new dog.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a really good reason to do that. And I think it makes sense even if the dog doesn't have issues.
Right.
Right. Just especially I'm not saying the food bowls necessarily, like, but I think just the toys perspective, just have a few lying around so that the dog feels like there's always something available.
Yeah,
and that they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And I guess if you have another dog already at home, that's another thing you need to be careful of, right? In the sense that some dogs may not guard their things from humans, but they will guard them from other dogs.
Right.
So you might want to keep that same ideology, like make sure that if you have, and I think we mentioned that in the last video,
Yes.
where, you know, have that extra toy.
Yes.
So that there's not just one of everything.
Yes.
So that there's 3 of everything if there's 2 dogs.
Yes.
So that they're not fighting for anything.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. At least one extra toy for the amount of dogs that there are will help prevent resource guarding issues. Yeah.
Okay. And then over time, what you'll get is, now I guess over time you want to slowly test to see how we're doing, right? So if at first you think that, you know, like obviously, like, let's see if this is good, and you just reach in for the food bowl, probably not the best strategy.
Right.
But what are ways that you can tell if the dog is starting to chill out a little bit and not be as guarding as they were before?
Yeah, and I will say that, like, if your dog is having resource guarding issues, it really is best to get a professional trainer in who's, like, well certified and also using positive methods. Aggression, and which resource guarding does fall into that category, does not take well to punitive measures. It tends to escalate. Even if sometimes you see an immediate decrease in the output of the growling, lunging, whatever, if the dog gets triggered enough, you will get a bigger explosion of aggression. So that's why it's really important to kind of change the underlying emotional state. But once you kind of get past that, like, flooding the economy stage of the game, and you want to see, like, how are you actually feeling about this, it is, again, really important to have those safety checks, because you know that the dog has shown some aggression in the past. So the first thing is to get the dog on leash, and then the standard training setup is to then tether the dog. You know, an eye hook in the wall is a great setup for that. And that way you know that this dog has a finite amount of space, so that if he does go over threshold, everybody's safe in that scenario. And then you're just going to set up a food bowl in front of them and put some food in it, allow them to eat, and then go ahead and reach for it with that Accessa hand, so you're not using your own hand. And you know, see what their reaction is. If there's still resource guarding there's a really straightforward protocol to do systematic desensitization, so that you know they get comfortable with those approaches, they get comfortable with those reaches, and then ultimately, at the end of the package, you have a dog who's like wagging their tail, like, please reach for my food bowl. I love it because you dropped chicken in there. So they become really comfortable.
And they also realize over time that, hey, this food never goes away. I'm kind of guarding it for nothing. There's no point in guarding anymore.
Right. So you kind of attack it from every angle, and you end up with a dog who's like pretty chill with you reaching for stuff.
Nice.